This is the Thayer Podcast for Monday, April 10th, 2023. Wikipedia tells us that Christine Jorgensen was a successful actress, singer, and recording artist born in 1926, who became the first person widely known in the United States for having sex reassignment surgery. Jorgensen traveled to Copenhagen, Denmark, where she obtained special permission to undergo a series of operations beginning in 1952. Her transition was the subject of a New York Daily News front-page story. Jorgensen successfully used her notoriety to lecture about being transgender and published an autobiography in 1967. A recent conversation I heard on a morning Phoenix radio show revealed that gays in San Francisco are growing increasingly fearful for their safety in the face of growing violence involving the transgender community. One of the show's two stars had recently returned from a junket to the city by the bay, where he had occasion to chat with a gay acquaintance. His friend revealed that the traditional gay community was becoming increasingly afraid for their safety as a result of recent violence directed by transgender activists against Bay Area gays. He said that the San Francisco gay community dates back long before the Summer of Love in 1967, featuring the Flower People in the Haight-Ashbury district. The San Francisco gay community first appeared in the 20s and 30s. Union Street in North Beach is where Mona's, the community's first lesbian bar, opened in 1934, long before Christine Jorgensen's appearance. This last March, a former student killed 3 children and 3 adults at a Christian elementary school in Nashville. Nashville Police Chief John Drake told reporters that the person responsible for the mass shooting was Audrey Hale.
Absolutely. So the person we know as Audrey Hale, she's a 28-year-old Nashvilleian. We have belief, or we feel that very strongly that she went to school here in the Nashville area, and she went to that actual school.
Officers engaged and fatally shot Hale, who appeared to be in her teens but was later revealed to be 28 years old. Chief Drake added she had no criminal history and went on to say her gender identity might have influenced targeting the school.
You've also said that Hale identified as trans. Do you believe there is a connection to that?
We feel that she identifies as trans, but we're still in the initial investigation into all of that and if it actually played a role into this incident.
Nashville police were able to obtain Hale's manifesto and writings, as well as maps about how the shootings were going to take place.
It does. It has, in the initial investigation, we've turned it over to the FBI. We've looked over it as well, and it indicates that there was going to be shootings at multiple locations, and the school was one of them.
Friday, March 31st, HBO host Bill Maher said it might be time to drop the T from LGBTQ. He said, let's talk about the trans side of this because, of course, as this incident, everybody broke down into their two sides. It's because of the guns and then this trans thing. I know a lot of my gay friends feel the same way, that the LGBTQ is a coalition that needs to come apart. Fox News reported last Friday that the Biden administration is rolling out new Title IX rules to expand the meaning of sexual discrimination to include gender identity that would prevent schools and colleges from banning transgender athletes. Under the department's proposed rule, no school or college that receives federal funding would be allowed to impose a one-size-fits-all policy that categorically bans transgender students from playing on sports teams consistent with their gender identity. Well, it appears that something is happening, at least in Canada. Anne Andres, a biological male claiming to be a woman, placed first in multiple women's weightlifting competitions in Canada and holds the record for women's bench in Alberta. The transsexual athlete has won 8 out of the 9 female competitions he's entered since 2019. Team Canada's former powerlifting coach Avi Silverberg had enough of men migrating to women's sports and its gender self-identification policies. Over the last weekend in March, he temporarily identified as a transgender and demolished Andre's record. Silverberg exploited Canadian gender policy, testing the transsexual athlete's record with him watching. Not only did Coach Silverberg beat Andre's record, he cleared it by nearly 100 pounds. Andres had previously lifted 275 pounds. Silverberg casually pressed 370. Silverberg isn't alone in his quest. There's a grassroots movement growing among America's Christian community, using teachings from the Bible to show how to fight activists promoting unnatural sexual activity. The most violent of today's activists identify as transgender. Surprisingly, Christians leading the fight to rescue morality do not identify as Bible thumpers, evangelists, or Adventists, but rather as the mainstream, composed of Methodists, Baptists, Mormons, Lutherans, Catholics, and even many of the Jewish faith. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Semper Fi.